Sunday school. Good morning again. If the young people can come a little closer. I don't know if I want to call him Reverend, but to my good colleague here. When we were kids at church, our children come to church, the young people actually outnumber the adults. So it's indicative of the changing times. And I know you spoke about progress, but all progress isn't progress. Sometimes progress is regression when you see the number of persons attending church on a Sunday. So good morning again. I'm humbled to be standing before you this morning. This is the church that I was raised in. Mr. Hubert Gums was my Sunday school teacher right over here in this corner. And I was a member of the Boys Brigade. Tremendous job that you're doing today. My son now is a member of the Boys Brigade. Many, many years ago. I have no doubt that the many years spent here at Bethel shaped much of who or what I am today. I stand this morning as a product of my community, which includes this church. As a youth, I never imagined the day I would be standing on this platform before you. And over more recent years, I have done so, albeit in sadness and mourning, as we pay tributes to those who have gone before us. There was never a time that I thought that on a Sunday morning, I would be standing addressing my fellow citizens in Christ. So who was Christ? What did he stand for? What did he die for? We have been told by the stories of old, by the scripture captured in the Holy Bible, that Jesus of Nazareth died for our sins. He died that we should have every chance at everything and everlasting life. But how did he live his life? The story is told of Jesus Christ, the nonconformist. He was unafraid to challenge those who did wrong or engage in unscrupulous behavior, even from the church. We know the story captured in Matthew 21, verse 12 and 13, when he said, and I quote, "My house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of thieves." This did not endear him well to the elders, but sometimes, I dare say, at all times, we must stand up for what is right, what is just. It was this church, the Bethel Methodist Church, when I received an invitation some years ago from my former school teacher, Mr. Rodney Wade. He invited me to a program here at this church. And while I was sitting next to him, as I did today, there was a pamphlet next to me. And I took it up, and there was a quote that stuck with me. And it said, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." It was a quote by Mr. Edmund Burke from 1770. But it struck a chord, and immediately I knew my calling was to work to make Anguilla a much better place at whatever personal cost. You see, young people, we were not placed on this earth to amass wealth and fame. Even Solomon did not ask for wealth, but for wisdom. Jesus wasn't about fame or fortune, and that is not what life is about. We were placed on this earth to leave it a better place than how we met it. But are we truly doing that? The disrespect and hideous act that played out last night at one of our restaurants clearly shows that we are not doing that. How did a country such as ours, who was built on our love for Jesus Christ and each other in the spirit of Christianity, Christ and jollification, a Christian nation, disintegrate into such a state? I spoke earlier about my time coming up in church, and so many young people was in this church. If you think about it for a moment, this church was built over 100 years ago. Over 100 years ago, when Angola's population was just about a fraction of what it is today, and we still can't fill the church. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? What are we as a church, as a people, doing to ensure the principles to which Jesus stood for are upheld? Are we looking out for the less fortunate? When last did we visit an elderly citizen in our community just to sit and talk with them? And I'm not talking about Uncle Freddie. When last did we stop to talk to the boys on the block to hear why is it they are spending so much time on the block when there are so many other productive things that they could be doing? When did we take time out to ask the youth about their studies and offer up assistance? When last did we volunteer our time to those who need it? How do we uplift our fellow man? Do we keep each other accountable? Do we keep our leaders accountable? Or do we just turn a blind eye to any wrongdoing? We are called to lay a foundation in Christ, to reclaim, to strengthen, to expand, and deepen our relationship with Christ. In doing so, we must all take a long look in the mirror and determine if that is what we are doing. In doing so, we must do an evaluation of oneself and ask ourselves the question, what would Christ have done? Would Christ have acted? How would Christ have acted if he was here today? And how would we view Christ when he spoke to us about what we ignore, what we justify, what we turn a blind eye to, and sometimes even what we cover up? It was Jesus who said, trust in God, trust also in me. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be the sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good. He sends rains on the just and the unjust. Blessed are those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. End of quote. So when we say we will remain silent in the space of obvious immorality, unethical behavior, criminality, and wrongdoing, preferring to say, let God deal with them, are we doing what Christ would have done? Now let us recommit ourselves to those principles that we are taught and what we have read of his life. Let us aspire to live more Christ-like, even if it means personal sacrifice, even if it means we will lose that promotion or that raise, even if it requires for that right, for truth, for justice that we will be made to suffer. Let us suffer for Christ as he suffered for us. Let us aspire and work diligently to uplift those among us and ensure that when we leave, because we all will leave this land, we leave this church in a much better place than when we met it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I thank you for hearing me out, and I hope that I'll be brought back again in the future. May God bless you, and may God continue